Hello, hi everybody, it's Alex Davidson with you today on our channel Questions and Answers on Immigration to Canada. Very interesting question, how to write and should I write a cover letter when I'm applying for immigration. Look, whatever program you're applying for on immigration, whatever documents you're preparing, there is no unique absolutely wonderful case. This or that way, there would be gaps in your education or your work experience. There would be situations when you have to explain something to visa officers. Documents provided they are not absolutely understandable for third parties. So whenever a visa officer is taking your documents, it is not necessarily clear whatever you were meaning to say with them. So I will try giving you an example. So say you're applying for a provincial nomination program. So that was a Prince Edward Island. They requested you the documents on a specific occupation you applied for, and out of 6 years of your work, half of a year you were working temporarily, you were working part-time, or that work experience was during your studies, and not necessarily visa officer knows that, say, last year of your education in India you were capable of working full-time, simultaneously going to university simply because you were working on your diploma, or name it, whatever it could be, right? You were working and the company has suddenly disappeared, not because of you, but you're not able to provide references, you're not able to provide your work contract simply because you moved a few years ago from one house to another and you lost it on the way, right? All those questions have to be covered in that cover letter. Visa officer looking at your documents will not be able to determine it himself, or guess what? Not necessarily. Visa officer would have time to ask you those questions and to ask you additional questions and make remarks and send you an email. Sometimes visa officer would act, put it this way, badly, and would just refuse your application simply because something was not clear. And rectifying this matter and remedy this case would be much more difficult instead of just drafting the good letter which would provide all the questions and answers. Hint of a day: whenever you're preparing the documents, every single question popping up in your mind, write it down. Just whatever it could come to your mind, like why are you living with your husband or wife for, say, 5 years and you're married just for 1 year? How would you be able to explain it? Were you just temporarily living with one another? So say he or she was living with his or her parents, and from time to time you were just staying together, or you were living as a common law partners and afterwards you decided to marry. And every single question, every single concern coming up to your mind, write it down. Look at your case as if you are the third party, right? Everything you cannot understand clearly, just looking at your reference letters, just looking at your documents and drafts, write it down as a question. Then, when you got the number of those questions, provide answers step by step. How many letters, words it would take you to write it down? Usually it would take you just one piece of paper, 2 pieces of papers to write it down. But please make sure that you would draft it in a good, proper English. We've seen situations when a person, say, got IELTS 7, IELTS 8, and the letter is prepared poorly, without proper grammar, without proper orthography. Look, it will give a bad impression in your case to a visa officer. We had a case we worked on when the person was a lawyer, and his or her language was so poor that eventually the case has been refused because the visa officer did not believe that eventually a person would come up in here, study properly in Canada, and been able to get that legal license. So please be absolutely assured that if you need help, if you cannot draft this letter yourself, come to us, discuss it with us, and we will be able to assist you with drafting this letter. At the end of the video you will find our contacts, so stay tuned with us.